Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking about nutrition in plants. So we know that all living organisms require food. The components of the food that we eat are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, minerals and vitamins. These components of food are called nutrients and are very essential for our survival. But the question is, where does the food that we eat come from? Now if I ask you about the food that you just ate, where did it come from? I think you will give me a very simple answer that it came from the kitchen of your house where it was cooked with the help of certain raw materials, which is raw vegetables and raw fruits. But now if I ask you that where is this raw material coming from, then we will have a realization, which basically says that animals, including humans, cannot synthesize their own food and are dependent on plants for their food requirements. This dependence can either be direct, which is in case of vegetarians who directly eat these raw vegetables and raw fruits. Whereas this dependence can also be indirect in case of non-vegetarians who eat animals who further are dependent upon plants for their food requirements. So the mode of nutrition in which organisms can synthesize their own food by themselves is called autotrophic mode of nutrition. Such organisms are called autotrophs, example all the plants. Plants can synthesize their own food by themselves and are not dependent on any other species for their food requirement. That is why they are called autotrophic. On the other hand, the mode of nutrition in which organisms cannot synthesize their food by themselves is called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophs are dependent on other species for their nutrition requirement. All animals, including humans, are examples of heterotrophic organisms. Now the question is, how do plants synthesize their own food? Just like in our case, we have certain raw materials which are cooked inside our kitchen on a stove, on a gas stove, and we finally get the food to eat, and the process is called cooking of food, right? Similarly, in case of plants, we have raw materials which is water, carbon dioxide and certain minerals which are cooked inside a special place in a plant which is a leaf, and they are cooked. Instead of being cooked on a stove, they are cooked in presence of sunlight, and we get the food in form of carbohydrates, and the process is called photosynthesis. So as discussed, photosynthesis is the food making process in plants, and every plant which is in presence of sunlight requires these three main ingredients for making food, which is water, which is carbon dioxide, and which is different minerals. Now, water, carbon dioxide and minerals are the raw materials which are present in the immediate surroundings of the plant, but since the food making process happens in the leaves, we have to find a procedure to somehow make all these raw materials reach the leaves of the plant. Now, let's address one of the most important questions. How does the raw materials reach the leaves, where the actual process of food making is taking place? Talking about water and minerals, they are present in the soil of the plant, and that is why they are absorbed by the roots, by which they are transported to the leaves where the actual process is going to take place. But what about the carbon dioxide gas? It is present in the air around the plant, but how does it reach the leaves is the main question that we need to answer. To answer this mystery, we have to look a little more closely. Leaves on their surface have small pores, and these pores are called stomata. Through these pores, carbon dioxide is able to enter the leaves. Just like your kitchen is not open 24/7, similarly stomata are the pores which cannot be opened 24/7, and that is why they are surrounded by guard cells, and these guard cells can open and close the stomata as per the requirement of carbon dioxide by the leaf. Now I have one question, I don't know whether you guys have it or not, that what is so special about leaves and why are leaves the only place where the food making process is going to take place? Well, one thing we know is that leaves are green in color or generally green in color. The reason is that leaves have this green pigment which is called chlorophyll, and this special green pigment called chlorophyll is very important. Why? Because chlorophyll is the reason why plants can actually trap the sun's energy and can use the sun's energy to create food from carbon dioxide, water and minerals. We can say that sun is the ultimate source of energy on earth, because if sun would not exist, plants would not be able to make food, and we being heterotrophs would not be able to survive. So now we know that chlorophyll is actually a green pigment present inside a leaf, and it is very important because it is the reason why leaves are able to trap the sun's energy and also the reason why leaves are green in color. I'll ask you one question just for fun. Do you think chlorophyll is soluble in water? You can pause this video right now and think about your answer. Now, if chlorophyll would have been soluble in water, the water patches after a rainy day would look something like this. But this is never the case. I hope it's never the case. That is why chlorophyll is definitely not soluble in water. Now, to sum up the process of photosynthesis, plants require water and carbon dioxide in presence of light, which is sunlight, which can only be used when there is chlorophyll inside the leaf to make food in form of glucose, which is just another form of carbohydrate, and oxygen gas, and that is how plants make their own food. So bottom line, photosynthesis is called photosynthesis because plants use light energy. Light means photo, okay, for making of food, and also it is a process in which plants take up carbon dioxide gas, which is a poisonous or a toxic gas, and give out oxygen gas, which is a very important gas for human survival. Now let's talk about what else is on the menu of plants. We know that in photosynthesis, plants actually take up water and carbon dioxide in presence of light to make carbohydrates and oxygen gas. Now, carbohydrates such as starch and glucose are made up of carbon, oxygen and hydrogen, which the plant gets by water and carbon dioxide. But our body also requires vitamins and proteins, and vitamins and proteins are made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Now we need to understand what is the source of nitrogen for plants. Now, just like carbon dioxide, nitrogen gas is also present in the air. But this nitrogen gas present in air cannot be directly used by the leaves. That is why roots of some plants have small bacteria, and these bacteria convert the nitrogen into usable form, which can be used by the leaves for making of vitamins and proteins. Only some plants have this kind of bacteria. Therefore, farmers actually add some kind of fertilizers in the soil for some plants which do not have this bacteria. Now, the bacteria which is present in the roots of only some plants can convert the gaseous nitrogen into usable form so that plants can take them and synthesize nitrogenous compounds like vitamins and proteins, which are also very important for our health. Now, these are the various pulses which I hope everybody knows is very rich in protein. Now, these plants are called leguminous plants, and they belong to the category of those some plants which do have that bacteria which convert the nitrogen into usable form so that plants can make vitamins and proteins. Now, in the course of this video, we have done modes of nutrition in organisms, which is autotrophic and heterotrophic. We have discussed about what is photosynthesis. We have discussed about what is stomata and what are guard cells. We have done about why leaves are the food factories in plants, and have discussed about synthesis of proteins and vitamins by plants. If you have any doubts in this video, you can comment that down below, and thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.